The impacts of gangs and community violence on South Sudan. Introduction. South Sudan, the world's youngest nation, continues to grapple with the consequences of prolonged conflict and instability. Among its most pressing challenges are the pervasive impacts of gangs and community violence. These issues undermine the nation's development, erode social cohesion, and exacerbate the struggles of an already vulnerable population. This article explores the multifaceted impacts of gangs and community violence in South Sudan, highlighting their effects on security, the economy, public health, and societal structure. 1. Disruption of security and stability. South Sudan has faced significant challenges in establishing effective governance and maintaining national security since its independence in 2011. The rise of gangs, weak law enforcement structures, and employment opportunities have contributed to the emergence of gangs, especially in urban centers like Juba. These gangs often engage in criminal activities, including robbery, extortion, and intergroup violence. 2. Economic consequence. Gangs and community violence have a severe impact on South Sudan's fragile economy. Cost of recovery. Resources that could be directed toward infrastructure, healthcare, or education are often diverted to address the fallout of violence, including displacement and emergency aid. This economic instability perpetuates poverty, creating a fertile ground for further recruitment into gangs or participation in violence. 3. Public health and psychological impact. Community violence and gang activity have profound effects on public health and well-being. Physical trauma. Victims of violence suffer physical injuries, with limited access to health care facilities exacerbating their suffering. Mental health issues. The trauma of witnessing or experiencing violence has long-term psychological effects, including post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and anxiety, particularly among children and young adults. 4. Displacement. Gangs and community violence contribute significantly to South Sudan's displacement crisis. Forced displacement. Violence forces families to flee their homes, leading to overcrowded camps where basic needs such as food, water, and shelter are scarce. Impacts on women and children. Women and children are disproportionately affected, often subjected to gender-based violence, exploitation, and recruitment into violence groups. Strain on resources. The high number of displaced individuals strains humanitarian resources, limiting the ability to address other critical development needs. The path to solutions addressing the impacts of gangs and community violence requires a multi-pronged approach. 1. Strengthening law enforcement. The government of South Sudan, in coordination with Masters Empowering Program Organization, MEPO, are to work hand-to-hand to build the capacity of police and judiciary systems to address criminal activities effectively. 2. Youth Empowerment Program. In South Sudan, MEPO organization is working hard in providing vocational trainings, motivation educational spirits in young youths, and employment opportunities to help the divert youth from joining gangs. 3. Community-based peacebuilding. MEPO organization together with the South Sudan government have the initiative of fostering dialogue and reconciliation between conflicting groups to make room for building crucial trust. 4. Investment in social services. Expanding access to healthcare, education, and mental health supports are the aims of MEPO organization to help mitigate the long-term impacts of violence on South Sudan.